RotoGrinders. Dean here. 2 hours NBA DFS conversation taking y'all straight up to lock tonight. Big boy slate, last big boy slate before the All-Star break. We got a 10-gamer. We got news that just dropped right before the show started. If you didn't like LaMelo Ball before, you're probably going to like him a little bit more. If you liked him before, now it's like, how do you not play the dude? We just got news that Terry Rozier, I guess not officially out, but doubtful versus the Spurs. Of course, the Spurs, the worst team in basketball. LaMelo looked great before. Now he's going to pop thoroughly. Our projection team has not finalized that. Obviously, news just came in, but spoiler alert, he is going to look fabulous. Lots of other body parts as far as what we're monitoring. Lauri Markkanen going into the All-Star break is questionable. That dropped today. Jamal Murray, questionable. I assume he doesn't go. Going to bring in Bobby. I'm curious your thoughts on this, right? Most of these teams, I think every team but the Bulls, it's their last game before the All-Star break. The Bulls play tomorrow night. Tomorrow's a 3-gamer. Not a big slate. Front end of a back-to-back for them. But a lot of these guys that are questionable, and like Murray, who hasn't played in a bit, like why would they bring him back tonight for one game when they can give him like 2 weeks and they just hold him out tonight? You never really know what teams are going to do. Boston last night, your Celtics with Robert Williams. I have no idea what that was. They put him 4 minutes in the first half. Why? Why?
I had no idea what they were doing. It didn't make any sense. I just knew right away when he wasn't starting. I couldn't play him. Like there was no way I could get to him.
Yeah. Muscala played 20 minutes in the first half. I think over 40 for the game. He's resting tonight. Last night was a doozy. I almost got there. I don't know. It's been a good week. I've been on the crab, as they say. I've been close. But, you got to get to the top to really make some noise. But we've had some good lineups. Hopefully keep that momentum going. How was yesterday for you? If you want to look back, anything worth noting?
It was good. I shipped a lot of stuff. It was I shipped 32K on DK, and if I had
did you put out a screenshot? I know you won a million.
I posted an SS. Yeah, I usually don't unless it's 100K. I try not to go crazy, but I was just happy because it's been a little bit. I had to get off the schneid. I got a NBA Live final seat a couple days ago, so that was good too. So it's been a nice little week.
Okay, I just pulled it up now. I'm seeing it's 32 G's. You took down. Let's see. What did we take down? We got second in the Moneyball, first in the Swish. Did you post the lineup or no? Let's see. Don't see the lineup.
No, I didn't put. I posted. It was multiple. It was different lineups, just all based around Podol.
Oh, Pirtle was your guy. Oh, nicely done. Nice call.
Yeah, he. If I had put it in the 50, the 50K to first, I would have won that. I would have won another seat. Only had him in a couple different contests though. So
the 50K only costs like $6 to enter. Is that what you're talking about?
No. The 555. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Yeah, dude. Well, congratulations. This wasn't a setup. You didn't say, "Hey, ask me about last night." I had no idea. So that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Tonight is the 888 on DK. Are you partaking in that? I assume you are.
Yeah, I have a couple teams in that. We'll see. I think it's an interesting slate. The center value is obviously really like the center position in general is loaded, right? Collins, Mark Williams, there's pay downs, and then you have the Jokic news, which is later on in the slate with Jamal. So it's going to be an interesting slate to navigate.
Man, I love Joker. I feel really confident that Jamal Murray doesn't play tonight. I don't know that for sure, obviously, and it's a 10-game slate, and it's the latest game. No, actually, New Orleans and the Lakers play afterwards. And it's not that Joker can't get there on his own. Like, he can do just fine if Murray plays. But I think there's a pretty good chance Murray doesn't go. It just doesn't make sense to me. But sometimes, hey, who am I? It's just my opinion. And sometimes teams do things that don't make sense. Like Robert Williams playing 4 minutes last night. And, like, either play the dude or don't play the dude. And, like, I thought they're just doing, like, the front end, back end. And, like, Horford sat last night. He's going to come back tonight. Williams plays last night, and then he just doesn't start. And and I think a lot of people like myself and you just yourself, once you see he's not starting, it was a big red flag. And it's like, I don't know what's going. And like he wasn't even the first big off the bench. It was Luke Cornett. I think he was like the fourth big. It's like, what is this? But hey.
So I thought Muscala was like a good play going into the slate, and then I didn't get to him because I ended up going to Hauser.
Yeah.
And I was tilting Hauser in the second half because he had like 7, and then he ran so good. Prior to the second half, he had like 7.
We talked about him yesterday, your boy Kirkwood, and I think he was hyping him up, and I wasn't like, he's just so 3-point dependent sometimes where, that's the problem. He's not making his 3-pointers. It can get rough. But I think he did salvage. He basically got there, but everybody got there in Boston. You had to have a big boy score for sure last night. I knew it was so dumb, and I still did it, the Tybal thing. Like, what am I doing with, like, over the field on Matisse Tybal? The guy cannot make a jump shot for his life, and he has to get there on stealing, like, 8 steals.
The problem is the night before he was like 5 for 7 from 3 for the first 3 quarters, and then he missed his last 2 in the fourth.
Yeah.
But the whole telecast, they were talking about how good he was shooting, So.
Oh, well, I mean, historically, though, he's like the 3 and D if he had a great 3, but his 3 is not spectacular. But they'll give him some open 3s. Derek, good job swapping off Bible to Muscala. I had both, but because I think I ended up with a lot of Giannis Lillard lineups. But anyways, hey, this is a 10-gamer. Hopefully you can repeat it. There's $250K up for grabs, I believe, in that 8888. I did win a ticket into it, so I'm excited. I'm going to partake. Hopefully I'm going to bank it with my single entry. I'm happy to yield to give you second. Sure, why not? Let's have a good time.
I'll yield for second for you, Dean.
Will you?
Yeah.
I'm happy to be on the podium if I can get in the podium.
Yeah, I'm happy to be. That's what I'm saying. I'm happy to be on the podium.
Let's do it. Should be a fun night in DFS.
I like that you threw back the will you. That was good. Most people are,
threw back the what?
The will you, because I don't know. Usually people are. It's just an interesting scenario in that,
Oh man. Okay. Let's. And I want to see what our projection team. I'm curious what's going to be popping. We'll let the people know in lineup HQ shortly what optimals are saying. And I'm curious where ownership team's going to be at because, we have a projection update. It just hit at 5:00, so going to get a refresh on that. But our ownership stuff has not yet been refreshed for a couple hours, so that's going to change. But anything else of note that we should talk about before we dive in fully? We're expecting LeBron to play tonight. He's officially questionable. I'm assuming Embiid plays again, but stay tuned. I think he's always questionable. Miles Turner's a big one we got to keep an eye on. Your Celtics a lot healthier tonight than they were last night. Tim Hardaway's out. CJ McCollum's questionable. An interesting one because, like, New Orleans, if he's healthy, New Orleans obviously owns the Lakers pick. So they'd love to drop an L on the Lakers. Sure, why not? Get him an extra ping pong ball if possible, if the Lakers don't end up making the playoffs. If McCollum doesn't go, we'll have another value play in with Grand Theft Alvarado. Josh Richardson looked good last game. The very first game, though. Or is there anything else you want to mention before we dive in? The old game deal?
No, that's it. We're ready to go.
The first game is like just beautiful for DFS, obviously. If you like professional basketball, it's probably not the game for you necessarily. But if you like DFS, the San Antonio Spurs, who I believe have lost, 13 straight, I want to say, shout out to them, versus the Charlotte Hornets. 243.5 is the total. The Hornets, 7-point favorites. Again, we just got this right before we went on air that we're going to have it's not official, right? As far as, I'm just going to check and see.
I don't think it's official now.
Yeah, Rozier's doubtful, but just come on. He's got a hand.
We know what it is, though, right? Yeah.
He's not playing. For what it's worth, the Hornets, I believe, are 4th, like on the outside looking in the tankathon. Like, I don't know if they think they can win this game or lose this game. Yeah. So, like, theoretically, they're on the outside looking in. The top 3 teams get the same amount of ping pong balls percentage-wise. Houston, San Antonio, Detroit, 1, 2, 3. Charlotte's 4th. And then there's like a gap of like 8 teams. So, like, they're just not – it's like 3 of those 4 are gonna get the maximum number of ping pong balls. So, theoretically, Charlotte would love to lose this game. But I don't know how they are. Good luck trying to figure that out. But benching Rozier, I guess, is a start. So Rozier almost definitely is out. As far as the rest of the team here for Charlotte, nothing new. Oubre is still out. Martin's still out. San Antonio, Trey Jones. Dougie Buckets is questionable last I saw. Doesn't matter so much, McDermott. Devin Vasal's got that knee. I guess McDermott matters a pinch. We could talk about it. No Langford and no Roby as well. San Antonio is pretty thin. Yeah, so we were talking about this pre-show, and I think it's a good conversation to start the show on. LaMelo Ball, he's going to pop. It's going to be awesome. But there were some really, really good pivots. Let's start there. It's the best matchup in basketball, basically. Spurs, worst defense in basketball, worst defense inside. They play fast. Are we going to overthink this one, or are we just going to lock in Ball, and that's that?
I think we're just playing ball, right? Over 55 fantasy points his last 3 games. Minutes over his last 3 games, 41, 35, 37, 35, 37, 39. That's over his last 5. So we're seeing his minutes tick up where we weren't previously earlier in the season. So definitely like to see that. It's a very good spot versus San Antonio, like you already mentioned. Don't mind Ball at all, especially now with Rozier out. I'm probably going to have a lot of him on my teams. I think prior to the news, you could have made a case to fade him with either Morant or Shea. I think I would have preferred Shea, but now I'm just playing LaMelo. I'm not going to overthink it. But there are definitely other plays in this game. If we're going to the center position, Mark Williams looking like a very, very strong value. And then coming right back at him, Zach Collins is another guy that I think we need to definitely have interest in at 5,100. But I always have issues when you're playing 2 centers going right at each other. So, but they seem like the best value plays in the slate. Center on the slate is just loaded in terms of roster construction and value.
If you're doing like that old school, and I'm not saying you are, but some people still have that mentality of like, we got value, we got 6x. Like, I need more than 6x.
I want 7x or more,
in this particular situation. And also, like, it's 7x means more when you're 12K than it is when you're 3K, right? Obviously.
Yeah. 3K guys for 7x, that's what I want, or 5x. Those are good. Yeah. The value guys, I want to hit 7x.
Collins is 5'1", Williams is 5'3". They're both really, really strong plays, like you said. They both look really great. But, like, if they both put up 31, 32, and Jokic puts up 80, and Embiid puts up 80, and, Vuk puts up 69, something like that, just pick that number randomly. But the point is like raw points are going to matter as well, too. And, like, they're great math plays. But, yeah, I don't really know how I'm going to handle it. But I love Collins, and I love Mark Williams. And I wrote up Mark Williams today on Scores and Odds as far as his points because the Spurs are the worst team in basketball. We've established that. No team gives up more points in the paint than the Spurs. And in a 3-game sample, but that's all we have, in the absence of Jakob Poeltl, they've given up 63 points per game in the paint, which is just egregious. It'll be like the worst in the league by like 4 or 5 points. And 75% of Mark Williams' points, where do they come from? Well, why else will I be saying this? They come from the paint. There's some easy buckets there for Mark Williams. If he stays out of foul trouble, we're looking at like 27 to 30, 31 minutes or so. Barring some goofiness, he feels like a really, really strong play. But I'll take my L on Gordon Hayward. I did give him the old mush last time, and I'm like, this guy's done. I'll never play him again. And he smashed his last time out. I'm not saying I'm going back to him, but I'm here to take my L for last game. I think I was laughing at the process of playing him.
So I played him, but he seemed like really bad chalk. I just played him anyways. I think I was at the field on him. I get why you would try to fade him in that scenario, right? So yeah, I don't think it was a bad call to try to make the fade on him. At 5'8" today, he's definitely going to be in my pool. How much I get to him, I'm not really sure. Obviously, this Rozier news is going to bump all these Hornet guys up, so he'll definitely be hitting some of my builds. But I think my favorite value play from this team, like if you consider 5'3" value, would be Mark Williams.
Do you have a take as far as Williams versus Collins? They're both really close. Their projection, for what it's worth, we're giving Williams 32 DK points and Collins 35. And Collins is a little bit cheaper. So going by that logic, I presume Collins will be more heavily owned. And that's what our initial ownership stuff is, but that's going to change. We had 43% earlier today on Collins, 20 on Williams, which that's a big window of discrepancy. So yeah. I think that's going to level out a little bit, I think. But
I think I would prefer Collins. But you did make the case, like both these centers are 5K, so it's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out. PJ Washington's another guy at 6'1". I think I'd be more inclined to get the PJ Washington than chasing Gordon Hayward, who was super efficient the other night. Devontae Graham is another one at 4K. I really like him. He's on the Spurs side. I think he makes for a good play overall. He's one of my favorite value plays on the slate currently. So yeah, this game is going to be one of those games where you're going to be sitting down with your girlfriend. She's going to be like, "Oh, we're watching Charlotte and the Spurs again tonight, huh?" I'm like, "Yep."
She must think they're good. Like, why are we always watching the Hornets?
She knows sports, so she's like basically trolling me.
Gotcha. She's stuck with the Hornets, so yeah, probably wants to watch Cleveland, Philadelphia could be a good game.
She likes the Lakers.
So. Okay. Well, they play later. We can watch them later on tonight.
Yeah.
You mentioned a really interesting one as far as Graham, and there's not a lot of alphas on the San Antonio side at this point, right? Even if he's coming off the bench, revenge game, I saw somebody say in chat, yes, this is when he was best. He was best in the Hornets, averaging almost 20 points per game on really bad teams. He's a willing shooter. We've seen that already so far in a small sample for San Antonio. We're projecting, 25 minutes for him. And he's still just 4K. He's got some versatility, point guard and shooting guard. I was trying to find him to bet the points over. I'm in a legalized betting state currently, and could not find it anywhere. It's kind of bummed. Hopefully somebody posts it later on or before the game starts, because I think he's just a good over bet just on points. Because if you look at the San Antonio team, it's like not a lot of guys that, there's no real ball hogs in this team, obviously. Keldon's pretty interesting. I think his price has got bumped down to 6'8", 6'6" on DK. I hate, it's a 10-game slate, but to me, this feels like one of the most important games, if not the most important game on the slate. I know it's first. Just haven't worked out that way. Do you agree with that as far as just what your decision points are? Because, it's going to be a heavily owned game right out the gate.
I think it's warranted just because of the situation with pace. You definitely have to be playing some of these guys. I wouldn't be fading this game by any means. Maybe you have another opinion on that. I'm not sure.
We let's see. Infinity stuff is as if Devontae Graham doesn't start, is he still a good play? Yeah, I think he's fine. We actually are not projecting him to start, as far as I can tell. We got Brownham, KBD, so on, Collins, and big body Keldon Johnson. If McDermott is out, that's one less body. They would be down to 10. And Charles Bassey is an interesting, if you want a really ambitious start, Bassey's a guy that can get going if he gets 24 minutes somehow, if Collins gets foul trouble, if this game blows out. But on this slate, we're going to keep saying that, or at least I'm going to keep saying that it's tough, because especially at center, he needs to put up 30 to be useful at 3.5K. I think 22 is just not good enough. That's not going to cut it. But what did you mention? Johnson.
Talk about.
Go ahead.
I didn't hit on Keldon. Keldon's obviously 6'6". He's going to pop in projections. We have him for 22% ownership. He's always a good play. Don't mind getting to him. DSJ is going to see a bump. They're also playing a super tight rotation, the Charlotte team. So Nick Richards, I think he's very much in play as a backup center to Mark Williams. If Mark Williams is getting foul trouble, and also just in play anyways, because how many points this team gives up in the paint. So yeah, I think I really like this game. There are a lot of guys here that I'm going to try to target. I wonder, what do we have for DSJ now? Where'd his projection? We have him for 24 minutes.
That's
currently.
A good point. 28 minutes and 25 fantasy points at 3.7. Interesting.
He's going to start showing up a lot.
Yeah. And that's the other part of it, is both these teams are really thin. We're looking at 10 bodies for Charlotte. We're actually starting Bryce McGowens. I believe he's a rookie for the Hornets. I don't think we're playing him at 3K. I don't think so. I don't think he's very good fantasy point per minute guy, but he is 3K. We're giving, Ball, McGowens, Hayward, PJ Washington, Mark Williams, and the bench is DSJ, Nick Richards to straight backup for Williams. We're giving that chop 28 and 20. Like you said, it's possible if Williams gets some foul trouble. It's possible if this game blows out, Richards might get 25. And if he gets 25, he's interesting for sure, because he's not 5K like Williams is. He's only 3.5. JT Thor, Svi Mikhailiuk, who just joined the team. I think he just joined the team, right? I feel like he hasn't played for them all season long. Yeah. And Book Night. There's not a lot here as far as who's left.
That's what they ran a pretty tight rotation the other night, even with if you want to pull up Court IQ, I think they were only running 8 guys, even with the 10. So
yeah, it really is just loaded here as far as fantasy goodness.
You're
It's
not
everything
fading
you
the
want.
Hornets. Yeah, someone just
I
said
don't
that.
think you can. Like, I think so. If you're running 150 tonight, are you putting a rule, or just it's going to happen organically? At least one Hornet in every team.
I think it's just going to happen organically, but yeah, probably at least one.
Miles Turner is in. Daniel Tice is out. Okay, interesting. I thought Turner, if he was not going to play, that Vuk would have a nice little bump. He's already got a bump in the absence of DeRozan. We'll get that in a second. We might see. Well, how many guys are we projecting? Okay, yeah. So we're giving. This is our minutes projections: 38 for Ball, 36 for Washington, 35 for Hayward, 28 for Williams. Like you said, we're splitting that with Richardson 20, and DSJ getting 28. And if this game is close, I think DSJ closes over McGowan's, right? I think so. Like we're giving McGowan's a start at 27 minutes, but they probably close Ball, Washington, Hayward, Williams, DSJ, I think.
I think that would make the most sense. DSJ is definitely popping now around, like looking at other projections and ours. I'm rerunning now, so.
Yeah, and the other thing is, if this game does blow out, right? And it's only a 7-point game. Like the Spurs are terrible, but the Hornets are bad too. They're just not as bad. You don't have to outrun the Bear. You just got to be faster than the slowest guy, and the Spurs are the slowest guy getting caught by the Bear. But the Hornets are bad too. But if this game does blow out, the off chance, DSJ still has to close. He has to mop up. He has to, I think.
I think you're right. That's why it was the same thing with Hauser last night. Like if you're afraid of the blowout, Hauser was probably still going to play in the blowout. Yeah, I don't mind DSJ at all.
Any issues playing Williams and Washington together? I think you can do that. They're going to play a lot of minutes alongside each other, but
I think you do that too. Yeah, I have no issue with that.
It's fine. What is our McGowan's projection? I'm curious.
Richards in Washington. Richards in Richards in the center. And Williams, I wouldn't play together.
Yes. Yeah. Play just one of Mark Williams and Richards. Yeah, I think that's a good call. I mean, that's kind of like probably something you're plugging in every single day if you're making rules, I assume.
Yeah.
Capping that at 1. Yeah. What is our Devontae Graham projection? Let's see. Just jumping over the other side. McGowan's, by the way, 27 minutes, 18 fantasy points at 3K. And, on some slates, an 18-point guy is useful for 3K. I don't think this is one. And I don't see any reason to really play McGowan's. I don't think. Would he be in your pool at 3K?
He might be in my pool just because it's paced up, but like I don't think if I'm running, it'd be more if I'm running 150.
13% usage in the season, 0.57 points per minute.
Yeah, he's a tough roster. I don't know if he's going to make my pool then.
Yeah, I'm not trying to talk you out of it. Like you can grade in a curve with the Spurs, I suppose, but
I'm only playing like 10 teams, so I'm not really considering it anyways.
Yeah. All right. Bassey just signed a 4-year, $10 million extension today. I didn't see that. Congrats to him. He's been jumping back and forth as far as the G League. And yeah, Bassey is like a really good fantasy point minute player. Let's see. What is he in the season? 1.12, 1.16 on Fanduel. It's just, how much run can he possibly get? I don't know if I'm getting there, but I wouldn't like besmirch it if you're running 150. Give me a final thought as far as San Antonio, Charlotte. We got to move on, but this game is just, it's
just play guys from this game. Don't worry about it being a 10 game slate. You're fine playing guys from this game. Sochan's another guy at 5K we didn't talk about. It projects all right.
Yeah, he had I think he had a little bit of a minutes limit, but I think it's going to get bumped up a little bit. Right? Didn't he only play 24 or so last game, going back from injury?
I think so, yeah.
20. Okay, so it went from he was gone for 10 days, and it went from 21 to 27. So I think maybe we can get to 30 now.
I think he gets over 30 now at 5K.
Do we have ownership? Oh, we do have ownership. Let's see what ownership is in this game.
I don't like that play.
If I was running 150, I would probably put it would just happen organically, I imagine, but one Spur and one Hornet in every lineup at least, like a floor.
That's what. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think it would happen organically though.
So 43% for Collins, 31% for Devontae Graham, 22% Keldon. Wait, maybe this is not officially. I'm only seeing 22% for LaMelo, and I don't think that's correct.
I don't think that's correct either.
I got to hit refresh again or something. It said 521, but maybe something's not lining up. We'll revisit that.
LaMelo has to be up to like 40% now.
It's going to be a huge number. He's projected for almost 60 fantasy points. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Anything else going on there in the chat? I saw some questions. Yeah. It's really hard not to play. Yeah, they're kind of in agreement as far as the Hornets. Hey, hit that like button if you guys are hanging out. Like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, do all the things, hit all the buttons. We appreciate that. Crunch Time is free, and it comes on earlier these days if you guys are not aware. You got Andy Means, I believe it's Andy and Will, I want to say, coming on around 6:15 or so on the East Coast, taking y'all straight up the lock. Of course, Andy, Kevin Roth will be manning the ship there. Bulls, Pacers, 231 is the total. Pacers are 2.5-point favorites here. This is we have, as far as the Bulls situation, DeRozan is out. Caruso's got a foot, so he's questionable. DJJ is out. Dragic, the Dragon's got a knee, so he's questionable. Indiana is fully healthy with the exception of Daniel Tice because we just got Miles Turner ruled in. I think Halliburton gets a bump if we lose Caruso. Caruso, a good, annoying defender. We do have to pay attention to the Bulls because DeRozan's out. Better prices on Fanduel than they are on DK. Levine looks really strong over there. So I think that Caruso sits. I'm hoping that Caruso sits because I bet some Halliburton stuff and I bet some Ayo DeSumo stuff. Why would you play Caruso? Like, he's been dealing with this injury for a while now. Again, give the guy a week off. My general thought is like, I guess it can go both ways, but like anybody questionable, like just don't let him play and let him chill for a bit. Or if you play him, then they have a week to rest. I guess you can look at it both ways, and we'll get the information soon enough. But do you have a thought on that? How teams are going to handle that?
I wish they would sit him at 3,400. Like I hate playing Caruso in tournaments because I feel like he doesn't have a great ceiling. But I don't know, at 3,400, I think you could consider him if you're playing 150. Definitely. I just worry about him being like, I think he's in a good spot to 7x. So I don't mind him if he's in. So yeah, I'm fine with Caruso. It's the play that really sticks out for me here is like Vooch because he totally goes against construction. He's a center. We have those two chalk centers at 5K. We're going to get him low owned. He's in a really good spot. I really want to get some Vooch. Levine's going to hit optimals, but I think Vooch will definitely go overlooked in this spot. So he's going to be the guy I'm going to try to target.
Just to walk back for a second, I did hit the refresh here. DK ownership projections now. Zach Collins, 36%. LaMelo, 36%. Gordon Hayward, 31%. Jesus. But, like, it makes sense. He's going to play 35 minutes against the Spurs. Devontae Graham, 25 minutes, 28% owned. That's a big number. Might fall back a little bit if he comes off the bench, but that's not really going to scare me. He's going to chuck. DSJ at 27%, Dennis Smith Jr. Williams down to 19, Keldon 18, Washington 20. So like that game is just going to be so massively owned, and it's totally justified. All right. We have a 28% ownership on Zach LaVine on DK, where he's 8.5. On FanDuel, he's 7.6. So he's getting 50% ownership over there. Also, he's shooting guard / small forward, so has some versatility as well. DeSumo, 41% owned on FanDuel at 4.4. And his role can only get better. We're giving him 36 minutes if Caruso and Dragic are out. They're going to be super, super thin. But on DK, let's see. We got LaVine at 28, Caruso 21. Like you said, he's 3.4 over there. I don't like rostering him, and it's sort of like Fievel, where you're just kind of begging for steals.
Yeah, 100%.
Sometimes you fall on the rebounds and blocks, or a three here and there. Vuk being 13%, it's not that he's a bad play, like you said. It's just that the way construction goes. Yeah. What about Halliburton at 3%? That's, then that's also in part because of LaMelo Ball, right? You can't have everybody, but 3%.
I think Halliburton's a fine tournament pivot if you want to go in that direction. would also outside, like, where does he rank in regards to these point guards? Like, obviously, you're going to want to get to LaMelo. You're going to want to get to Moran, SGA, but Halliburton, I would never fault anyone. He's also 700 to 800 cheaper than those guys, so I would never fault anyone for playing Halliburton.
Duncan Robinson available, and that defies my theory, by the way. He's been out for like a month, and let's bring him back the last day for the All-Star break. But okay, I guess he's good to go. DSJ will start if Rozier doesn't play. So our projection team, or somebody said that McGowan's, that's what we had. Well, we're going to have DSJ starting, which is only going to make him even more popular because then he'll probably be projected for like 30, 31 minutes or so. And, man, it's just it's just the most obvious game stack in the world, but it looks so, so good. Yeah, it looks incredible. And DSJ is going to look like a great play. Priorities as far as the Pacers, you talk about Halliburton, sure, you can play him at 3%. What about Turner? He's been questionable all day. Nobody's going to play him, but it's the same deal. Like, there are a billion centers, right?
There's a billion centers. I think I'd prefer Hield at like small forward just because I feel like it's a weaker position. He has shooting guard, small forward eligibility. He's 6,400. Turner, for me, like, he's not going to make my list of top 5 centers on the slate currently.
Herbert's good, just says terrible plays. Who's the terrible plays? The Hornets are terrible? Elaborate that. I'm curious, Herbert. Tell me who's terrible. Maybe you're talking about Chicago and Indiana. I don't know. Maybe I missed something out of context. My bad, but I'm curious what you're talking about there because I can't look. He's saying Desumu's a terrible player.
Yeah.
I don't agree. It's terrible.
He was. I think he doesn't realize you were talking about him on FanDuel.
Yeah, and Desuma was 4.4 on FanDuel. I think he's got a similar price actually on DK. Am I wrong to say that? Why is this? Yeah, he's 4.4 on DK. What's interesting is ownership-wise, he's point guard and point guard only on DK. 16% ownership. On FanDuel, he's getting 41% ownership. Well, also, FanDuel's got like different prices for a lot. There's a lot cheaper stuff on DK, just the way your lineups are being constructed. Just kind of looking at stuff. So I guess that's why. But that's not a terrible. I don't know if I love the Sumo at 41% ownership on FanDuel. I don't hate that point, if that was the point being made. Anything else to note here as far as Chicago, Indiana?
No, I think we pretty much covered it. That first game's the game.
There are 2 games at 7 o'clock. Chicago, Indiana's 1. San Antonio, Charlotte's the other. There's a couple late games, right? 1 game at 9 o'clock is Dallas and Denver. We probably won't know about Jamal Murray by then, or at least by the game tipping off, we should know. But as far as when lock hits, New Orleans, Lakers, 10 o'clock. I believe that's the back half of the national TV game. I think the first one is Cleveland and Philadelphia. Looks like a really, really fun game if you like basketball perspective, from a DFS perspective. I don't think it's going to be terribly popular. 216.5 is the total. That's certainly a low number. Philly's a 1-point favorite here. As far as the injuries, well, Embiid's questionable. Tucker expected to go. No Korkmaz, doesn't matter. Ricky Rubio, midday downgrade as far as an illness. Jetty Osman also, I believe, was a midday downgrade with his neck. Nothing huge. Maybe just tightens up those starters minutes a little bit. But, 2 teams that play slow, 2 teams that play good defense. You can always play Joel Embiid, and I'm going to assume. Well, now I'm curious. Have you looked? What's Embiid's ownership? Probably less than like 4%, right?
Yeah, it's probably extremely low. I haven't looked. I don't really think I'm going to play Embiid or anyone from this game. If Embiid were to sit, maybe I get some Harden at 9,800. But yeah, you could obviously always play Embiid. I wouldn't fault you. I just think it's a really tough game from a DFS perspective.
Let's see. 4% for Embiid, 4% for Jared Allen, 3% for Harden. This would change, of course, if Embiid doesn't go, obviously. But, yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about this game. Like, everybody's sort of priced where they should be. And, can they get there? Sure. Scenic route, right? There's not a direct path to being, top play today. It doesn't mean it can't happen. Possible showdown in the Eastern Conference Finals. Well, I guess your Celtics have something to say about it. Maybe in the semifinals. But, it's 10 games today. I don't really have a lot to say here. I'm not going to say you can't play Donovan Mitchell. I don't think I will, but that's that. I got nothing else.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Not getting too much from this game.
Okay, we can move on then. And chat, by all means, feel free, join the conversation. Whatever, if we feel like we're wrong about something, call us out. If you want us to elaborate, or if you just have a question or a 2v2, something that's on your mind, fire it off. By all means, I'm going to do my best to get to the chat as well. Oh, the Dragon is out. That is no surprise. If we're getting news on Goran Dragic, we should be getting news, theoretically, on Alex Caruso. Are they both going to be ruled out? Caruso's in. Caruso in, Dragic out. Okay, interesting. So that doesn't. So do we have to circle back and play Caruso at 3K on DK?
I think Caruso, you have to consider playing him now. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. But like DSJ is a distinctly better play, isn't it? And he's not.
I think DSJ is. I think. I like Graham. I don't know if I prefer Graham, but I definitely like Graham. There's guys around there that you can definitely play other than Caruso, but Caruso is definitely someone who should be making your player pool now.
Our Caruso projection, for what it's worth, on DK: 27 minutes, 23 Fanduel DK points. Desumu, 36 minutes, 26 DK points, and neither can compete with DSJ, who's now projected for 32 minutes at 30 fantasy points at 3.7. So, like, you're taking up the point. So, Ball and Dennis Smith Jr. are both point guard and point guard only. So, you're taking, the guard spot and the point guard spot. Then, like, anybody else, you're kind of squeezing your lineup versatility, I suppose. But it also makes sense. Yeah, I haven't built anything, obviously, with Dennis Smith Jr. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. But I assume you're okay playing both those guys in the same lineup?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think you definitely play the two of them together.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're done with Philadelphia and Cleveland. New York. New York at Atlanta, 233.5 is the total. New York is a 3.5 point dog here. Another 7:30 game. Let's see as far as who's in and who's out here. Yeah, John Collins has that hip, so he's questionable. Hunter should be good to go. As far as New York, they are fully healthy, with the exception of Mitch Robb, who's been out for a month or so. Everybody's priced what they should be. It's a 10-game slate, but it certainly feels like it's shrunk a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I do think Randall's in play at 9.9. I just play Randall in tournaments. The minutes his previous game, I don't know if it blew out, but 32 minutes. I wonder if that's an issue with rotation now because of the trade deadline, Josh Hart being there. I wonder if maybe that why they scaled his minutes back. I don't know if they'd really cross in. I expect Hibbs to play these guys.
I love that 32 minutes is alarming. It's like, oh my God, he only got 32 minutes. But
it is alarming though, right? It's definitely alarming. And then Brunson on the other side, he only seen 35. We're used to seeing the guys around 38, 39 minutes, 40 minutes.
Was there an emergency appendectomy? How did he only play 32 minutes? I don't understand.
I actually no, exactly. I really like Jalen Brunson. It's tough. It's going to be tough to get to him on the slate, but I always think he's one of those tournament plays that just goes overlooked. And everyone's probably, if they're trying to pivot off Ball, which I don't think anyone's doing as much now, but earlier in the day, going to a Jalen Brunson in the spot, I didn't hate at 8,600. He just likes to chuck. He plays for your teams, right? So I don't mind Brunson. Randall, I think he's fine at 9.9 if he hits your teams. Wouldn't fault you. That would be pretty much it from the Knicks. I'm not trying to get to too many Knicks outside of that. Barrett at 6K. I just have a love-hate relationship with RJ Barrett. What's his minutes been the last couple games? 24 minutes the other night versus Brooklyn.
No guarantee he'll close. I just don't play him often. But basically, as a general, if he's cheap enough, maybe I'll throw the dart. But I don't think it's necessary. For what it's worth, I just pulled it up. Brunson and Randall did not play the last 4 minutes of that game. It did blow out a bit, 124-106 versus Brooklyn. So that's the reason why. Barrett didn't close and didn't really come on. He was kicked out at the 8-minute mark and did not come back. He was relieved by Randall, it looks like, or Brunson, one of those two. Oh, yeah. Toppin and Barrett came out. Brunson and Randall came in at the 8-minute mark, and they left at the 4-minute mark. So I don't think Barrett was necessarily going to close there. Yeah, there's not a lot to, and Brunson's just been awesome, like you said, spectacular. He's a way to be different tonight, I suppose. I'm seeing 11% ownership on Brunson, and that might be a little high personally. I could see it lower than that. If you like him, play him, sure. Trae Young on the other side is not going to grab much ownership either. We're talking about, let's see, 4% for Trae Young, Randall at 8%. And we're projecting, 38, 36 as far as the minutes for Brunson and Randall. Barrett's getting 33. It's just another game that's happening, and there's nothing to love. I have no rousing endorsements. I'm not going to yell at you if you want to play Trae Young. I'm probably not. And that's that. What else do you have as far as New York, Atlanta? You good to go over there?
Yeah, I'm good to go. Sorry about that. Been sick these last couple days, Dean. I don't know, week. I'm getting old.
It doesn't get any better. Sorry. Spoiler.
Yeah. Yeah, basically for me, a similar thought process. Like if you want to get to Trae Young, that's fine. DeJounte Murray's 200 more than Brunson. Yeah, it's like the same as the other game, Cleveland and Philly. Not too much from a DFS perspective that I really want to get to.
Brunson a little better on FanDuel where he's 8-4. And again, just the way things work, 8-4 is more usable than 8-6 on DK. He's getting 15% over there, but nobody really popping on FanDuel either. Nobody getting more than Brunson's 15%. I think we can move on here and talk about Miami and Brooklyn. When was the last time we saw a total of 211.5? I feel like this is one of the lower totals we've seen in a long time, unless I missed something. Not a very appealing total. 211.5 here. Miami at Brooklyn. As far as who's in and who's out for this one, well, Hero is out, Oladipo's out, Lowry's out, so they are thin as far as guards. But they are getting Duncan Robinson back with his finger, who hasn't played in, I think, at least a month, I want to say. It's been a while for sure. Brooklyn is fully healthy and just really tricky to figure out. I was looking to bet some Ben Simmons unders today. I could not find any lines on Ben Simmons, but whatever the number is, I want the under on Ben Simmons. It's just not happening. It's over. I think it's over. We'll see. Not rooting against the guy necessarily, but it's been rough. What are we projecting? 15 minutes for Ben Simmons today. Didn't close last game as well. Just a weirdly constructed Brooklyn team, obviously. Bad matchup versus Miami. The only one getting ownership in this game on the Brooklyn side is Cam Johnson, 5%, if you want to call that ownership. Bridges 2, Dinwiddie 1. Like Dinwiddie's still at 7-4. That has to come down a bit. Claxton against Bam. I don't want any part of that at 6-7. Can you endorse anybody on Brooklyn today? You got anybody?
Brooklyn seems like a cross-off to me today, Dean. Not playing too many Brooklyn guys.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. Okay, I just want to see what we did. We do have Duncan Robinson projected in. Let's see, Miami, we got 9 guys playing now. So the minutes, let's see. Strus down to 35. He went nuts last game. Strus, obviously super reliant on his 3-ball, but if he gets going, he's certainly interesting. But the price got bumped up, and he's fine as a 5K, sort of cheapy. Gabe Vincent getting 35 minutes. Again, they're short as far as guards, being without Lowry, Hero, and somebody else, Oladipo.
Yep, Lowry, Hero, Oladipo. Yep. Butler
and Bam are expensive. Bam's certainly a way to be different. 1% ownership. I don't think I'm getting there, but Butler 11% ownership at 8.8. I thought the Heat were going to be more appealing today, coming into the slate. But now that things are getting, get a little bit more clear, don't love Miami. I'm fine with Strus. I'm fine with Vincent. I'm fine with Butler. That's about it. Bam, if you want to be super ambitious, sure. If you have the salary, he can put up 60, I guess. But overall, this whole game environment's just pretty unappealing. And I know we're supposed to talk about every game, but I don't got a lot here, Bobby. Anything that you like?
yeah, earlier in the day, I definitely had some interest in these Heat guys, Butler and Bam specifically. Strus was popping a little bit. Gabe Vincent, but now we just have all that value. I don't see really a need to get to these guys. Bam, the center position's loaded. Like, yeah, it's a great matchup versus the Nets. 27th in efficiency against centers over the last 10, 29th in terms of rebounding rate. Like, he's fine, but their center is just absolutely loaded. And then Jimmy Butler, he's averaging 53 DK points with Kyle Lowry, Oladipo, and Hero out. 26% usage rate. It's just not the slate for it, I guess. Like, if they hit your teams, that's fine. They'll be in my pool, but they're not people I'm actively targeting or players I'm actively targeting currently.
Okay, so some potentially big news here. Kyrie Irving was hit with a probable tag earlier in the day. Now he was just hit with a questionable tag with his back. If he doesn't go, it's the Luka show, right?
It's the Luka Jokic game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that feels like such a fun.
Man, yeah. I don't know how I'm going to get off playing that. That seems like you just play it. You have to have at least one, right?
We have no idea, but like my instinct tells me that if Kyrie was given a probable tag alert today, and now he's given a questionable tag, he's not playing, right? I don't. My guess is he's not playing.
He's one of those guys where it'd definitely be a glass half full situation for him playing. So,
and it's a late game, and that game's the second to last game on the slate. New Orleans, the Lakers after him. It's in its own little time zone, right? 9:00 on the East Coast. But my thought is that Luka doesn't go. I'm sorry, Kyrie doesn't go, which of course would bump up Luka. And we have Luka kind of sort of somewhat discounted now, right? He's down to 11.7 when we used to pay 12.5, 12.6, 12.7.
I think I said that incorrectly. Glass half empty would be the.
Yeah, I was.
I think I tripped you up. Yeah, my fault.
I was thinking about that. I'm like, and I didn't want to commit. I'm like, do I have that wrong? Maybe you have that right.
No, I had it. Yeah, I thought about it afterwards. I was like,
I was doing a risk versus reward. I'm like, I'm not going to call that out because I'm not certain now. But that's interesting because you can't play LaMelo with Kyrie and with Luka and Jokic. Just the thought.
There are other guards, Dean, on the slate. We can find some other guards.
What do you mean?
I think there's other guards you could pivot off to if you want to play the Luka Jokic team.
Yeah, I'm saying, but you can't play ball.
Maybe you can't play ball. What'd you say?
Can you play all three of those guys or no?
I don't think you can. No.
Just trying to see if that would make sense. What do we have left? 3-2? I don't think it's happening. Yeah, you can't play Jokic, Ball, and Luka together. It turns out we live in the world of a salary cap, and unfortunately, that's not going to work out for us. But interesting thought. But maybe that's a pivot and planning ahead. And maybe I'm going to at least make one lineup with that and not play LaMelo, obviously. But okay, which game were we on? We were throwing away Miami, right? We're done with Miami. We're done with Brooklyn, Detroit versus your Celtics, which is what a weird. Okay, back half of a back-to-back for Boston. 227.5 is the total. Detroit is terrible. They're 13-point dogs. The Boston situation, a little bit different in the back half. Now we have Horford available. Tatum was ill yesterday. He's going to play today. Derek White played through an ear yesterday. Did not leave with the team, but saw somebody, and I guess he's good to go. He's available tonight. Now Marcus Smart, again, the same deal. Like, he's coming back the day before the All-Star break. All right. And I think we just saw a note that Marcus Smart, no minutes limit for Marcus Smart. Okay. Haven't seen him for a bit, but no minutes limit. I don't know what to do with Boston. And I also wouldn't be surprised. Well, I guess we would have got it by now. I thought like they might sit, Brogdon or, Williams. I could see them sitting Williams. Stay tuned on that, I suppose. But, obviously Tatum should annihilate this team. But how long is he going to annihilate Detroit? Because Boston should fully just mollywop these Pistons. What do you do with your Celtics? Because it's a tough spot. I don't like to assume blowouts, but it certainly feels like one.
Yeah, so I faded Tatum in the spot like 2 weeks ago, and I he wasn't getting there, and then he got there late in the fourth. It's a totally different situation now. If you think about the context of the slate, we may be able to get to Luka. We may be able to get to Jokic for like 1,000 to 1,200, 1,300 more. So I think I would rather go to those guys than playing Tatum. The bigs I would have interest in, like say William sat Al Horford at 5-1.
Yeah.
Versus this Detroit team that's getting crushed inside. Like I wouldn't mind some Horford there. I wouldn't mind some Muscala.
Wait, the Moose is out.
Oh, the Moose is out. I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't see that. Yeah, it figures he's not going to play in a back-to-back. Yeah, I would definitely have interest in Hartford at 5-1.
Detroit, Jalen Durant should be good to go. He had that ankle. Wiseman expected to play. There are rumors that he might start at some point. I'm not sure how he would have any merit in starting over Jalen Durant, but okay. Doesn't make any sense to me. Durant's like playing well. I mean, 19 years old. He's doing the best he can out there. Wiseman's been a disaster so far in his career, but okay. What are we projecting as far as those two? How are we splitting that up? We're giving 28 to Durant, 18 to Wiseman. So basically the 48 as far as center minutes. Do you want to mess with these Pistons? I don't think I do.
Currently, no. I don't have much interest in the Pistons. No one really standing out. I think it's another one of those situations where you can kind of get away from it. There isn't anyone there that really makes much sense. Killian Hayes maybe at 4-7, but I think that was earlier in the day. Outside of that, like no real interest.
Dedmon available to make his debut tonight for the 76ers. I mean, I guess he's interested. Well, no, I was going to say, what if Embiid doesn't play? But like Embiid's going to play, right? I assume. We'll see. Yeah, Breaks in chat talk about Kyrie being probable. He's now questionable. That's why we're talking about it. He was given a probable tag earlier today, but now it's questionable. Okay. Yeah,
Sorry
Detroit. What do you mean?
Oh no, something popped up on my screen and was blurted out, so the people probably heard it. It was Mangum.
I didn't hear it, so you're good. If Wiseman somehow draws to start at 3-4, is he interesting? I don't.
If he draws to start at 3-4, yeah, because if Williams sits, like I definitely have some interest. We only have him for 18 minutes, but if he's starting, then that's obviously going to increase. I wouldn't mind getting to him in that scenario, but we're also going to be giving up a lot of spots to the center position earlier. So, yeah, if you're stuck and you need a pivot and he's starting, it makes sense. But I just think I don't know if I'm going to be able to get there outside of him getting ruled in, just because I want to play the other centers currently.
Ryan in chat wants to know favorite prop bet for tonight. Ryan's on a cold streak. I don't know what the line is now, but I got Mark Williams earlier today at 12.5 points over. I like plus, was it minus 105 or minus 108? That was my favorite bet as far as some player props. Do you have any player props today? Have you dabbled in those streets today?
I'm not in the player prop streets. We just got sports betting. Haven't really looked at it. I'll check it out eventually, but not going to be doing that yet tonight.
All right. Moving on from Detroit and Boston. This is kind of sort of somewhat San Antonio, Charlotte light, I guess. Houston, OKC, similar kind of, two teams. Well, OKC's not nearly as bad as them. I shouldn't group them in there. OKC's actually got some talented players, and they win some games on occasion as well. 234.5 is the total. OKC is a 10-point favorite here. Houston, of course, they are without Kevin Porter Jr. They traded away Eric Gordon. OKC, Wiggins is in the G League. Otherwise, their team is pretty standard. You mentioned Shea as a pivot away from LaMelo. I think it's an awesome, awesome pivot if you can do that. Of course, you can play them both. You can figure a way out to do that also. Start with the OKC side. How do you feel about the Thunder?
Yeah, so Shea is obviously the guy that sticks out. 200 more than LaMelo. LaMelo is going to be egregious chalk. So I don't mind pivoting to Shea. There's more a pivot that I had in line earlier in the day, but I still think you can make it happen if that's a route you decide to go. Outside of that, on the New Orleans side, I think Kenrich Williams is fine as a value. What his minutes last couple games, he's been playing more. 4,100 I just think is a good price. 30 minutes the other night. Don't mind getting to him. Not interested in Lou Dort. Giddey, I could see myself playing a little bit at 70. His price has come up though at 7,900. Still a good spot for him as well. Jalen Williams with an E, I think is in play at 6K, but there are other plays around that price range that I might like to get to as well. So I think the main priorities for me would be Giddey and Shea out in SGA. Yeah.
If our ownership holds true, like even remotely, right? We have Shea at 7% ownership. Man, 7% ownership for Shea and Shy, 41% for Ball. Man, that's just make that one move. And if Shy can outscore Ball, you're on your way. Obviously, the rest of the lineup has to come through for you as well, but I think that's an interesting. I think I might make a lineup. Like I'll make a lineup I really like, and then just take Ball out and put in Shea, assuming it's $100, right?
Yeah.
Just swap them in. Just make the same lineup. Basically just make the same lineups and just put SGA in there instead of Ball, and that's that. I don't know. Yeah. Just the thought process. Something I might do.
I don't mind. I think another pivot in this game at the point guard position with Porter out. He's been out obviously, but Jalen Green, top 40 fantasy points in 3 of his last 4. I don't mind going to him as a ball pivot at 6,800, or just a way that you can play him in the shooting guard off whoever's the shooting guard chalk, paying up in that situation. I don't mind Jalen Green at all in the spot. He's on the Rockets, obviously, but just wanted to throw him out there.
We need another center, right? So Şengün, I think we're getting a bit of a discount here on Şengün, or he's been cheaper than he has been. Giving him 34 minutes here, good matchup here against OKC. I saw somebody in chat talking about the defense versus archetype matchup tool for post bigs, 4th best matchup for Şengün against OKC. And also number 1 matchup on the other side of the game for SGA. I saw somebody referencing that as well. Just if you weren't aware, of course, spectacular. And we know Houston, not only they're a great matchup, but they also give up the most steals per game. That's something I bet, by the way. I bet over 1.5 steals for SGA and over 2.5 steals and blocks. I bet that one pretty hard, actually. Houston gets the ball stolen the most. I think it's like 9.1 times per game, which is the most in the league. Second worst, like 8.3. So they're distinctly the worst team as far as giving up steals. And I believe they give up the most blocks as well. And SGA is a good blocker for a guard. So what am I, I'm rooting for some steals and blocks, some stocks out of SGA as well. Kind of a big bet. We put on that one earlier today. But there you got it. Talking some player props in the chat.
I like that one. I think that one's that's a winner. We got a winner there.
I hope so.
Jayshawn Tate at 3.6. He's good when he's good fantasy point per minute guy. I don't mind him as a filler piece on DK. Should hit on that. And the Şengün call, like center's loaded. His price has come down though. So if you want to make a case to like pivot off the construction and play Şengün, I think it's similar to like getting to a Vooch or a Walker Kessler or a Jokic. Like you're just changing up the construction a little bit. So I don't mind that call.
I see somebody in chat saying now that Kyrie is out. Kyrie's not out, right? He's just questionable. I've not seen him officially ruled out. Maybe they're hypothesizing, talking about the potential of playing like a Josh Green with Kyrie out, but he's not out. Right? Has that changed?
He hasn't been. I haven't seen it come through yet.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't assume that.
Yeah, I haven't seen it come through yet.
And I was looking.
I'm keeping tabs on it. So,
what do you think of Tate being like kind of chalky? I think he might be bad chalk.
Well, Caruso is going to be kind of chalky too, and he's 3.4. So
that's worse chalk.
That's worse chalk.
There's an in-game injury chance. Caruso is like, if there was a draft, right? I'm not saying he's going to get hurt, but if we're drafting on players that are most likely to get injured and not finish the game, Caruso is a first rounder, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you, 100% first rounder. Jabari Smith's another guy at 5.3 we should hit on. Jabari Smith looks good in projections. I think he's fine. We have him seeing currently 34 minutes, so I don't mind that. His fantasy point per minute's pretty good. I could see myself playing some of Jabari Smith at power forward.
Curtis wants to know if you're going to play, let's see, you're paying up for one player tonight. Who is it? Pay up is, I guess, at least 10K, I suppose.
So with this news right now, I think we both expect Jokic to sit. So it might be Jokic. It might be Jokic. I think I'd prefer Jokic to Luka. But if Kyrie is out, then I'm going to prefer Luka to Jokic. It just depends on
Murray to sit, just to be clear, right? Murray you're talking about.
If Murray, yeah, sorry. The two guards in that game on both teams are questionable currently. They've both been downgraded. Whoever's out, I like the guy who is on the team where that player is out. So, yeah. Yeah,
Luka, Jokic, and Ball are like my three favorite spend-ups with SGA right there. That's unless I miss somebody. I miss John Morant, but I think he's fifth if I had to do some rankings.
Someone in chat asked about LaVine versus Butler, and 2 minutes ago, I got a text from my buddy basically saying how bad LaVine was, and he was like, "You should say on the show how bad of an NBA player he is," just in a different context that I can't say currently. But yeah, I don't know. I prefer LaVine to Butler though. To answer that question.
Mean, you're supposed to. I think you're supposed to and he's a little bit cheaper. But I guess it depends on where you're playing. I assume that's a DK question because they are more similarly priced over there. I think it's the $300 difference. Mr. Richards asking about Luka and Jokic in the same lineup. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. We've kind of talked about that over in the show, and there's some speculation there, right? And again, they could still get there theoretically if the chips don't fall, the dominoes don't fall the way you want. But it really seems like there's a good opportunity if Kyrie is out and if Murray sits, that those two can just run the show. Yeah, I'm going to definitely set up a lineup or two with that scenario in mind. Houston, OKC, we're done? Yes?
Yeah, we're done.
We got 3 more games. Got about 12, 15 minutes till the crunch time crew comes in. That's Andy Means. You got Will. And, of course, you have Kevin Roth running the deal. Jazz, Memphis, 239 is the total. Memphis is a 10-point favorite here. It feels like, this is my guess, sometimes I'm wrong on these things, of course, plenty of times. But midday downgrade for Rudy Gay, illness. Midday downgrade for Lauri Markkanen, knee, questionable. I'm guessing those guys don't go. Of course, the Markkanen one matters. The Gay one does not. Memphis, Steven Adams is still out. Otherwise, they are fully healthy. This kind of feels like a blowout to me. But, I'm curious to get your thoughts as far as Utah and Memphis, because right now I kind of have Ja on the outside looking in, and he's a guy that can break me tonight. Is he going to break me?
I don't like Ja relative to SGA or Ball. I think he's third behind those guys in that price range. So if you fade Ja, I think it's fine. I do in this game really like Walker Kessler. He's 5,900. He got in a foul trouble the other night. He had 4 fouls. He had 3 fouls coming out of the half. He was crushing it DK wise, and then he got picked up 2. He was just done for the game. I think he's an interesting pivot off these for early game centers if you want to fade one of them. Also gives you some late swap equity. Say you want to play a Jokic and a Luka lineup. Just if we get Murray in, you can just play a Luka lineup and leave Kessler in the center position. Stuff like that. You'd have to move salary around, but obviously he would be my favorite play on the Utah side.
And Utah, I guess they have a bunch of bodies still, right? Yeah, they have a lot of dudes that just don't really JTA could get dusted off. You're not playing him, obviously. Damian Jones, Fontecchio would get some run. Azubuike would get some run, but none of these guys would be interesting if Markkanen sits. If this game stays close, Clarkson would get a bump. Like I say, Kessler, tricky to stay out of foul trouble, but if he does, Ja's gonna be coming at him. Clark is pretty active on the inside as well too, as far as the boards. It's hard to predict foul trouble, but I could see Ja jumping right at Kessler and a couple quick ones for Kessler. But like you said, if his variance, as far as his floor to his ceiling, seems greater than most players. Even if he's not in foul trouble, sometimes he doesn't close. They'll close with somebody else, and he's not the closing lineup. With Olynyk back there, it makes it a little bit murkier too.
Yeah.
Bane, just worth noting, he's 7-1, which is fine.
It's tough to get to these. It's tough to get to these guys. Like,
yes, that's kind of what I was leaning at too. It's like that's a good play, and I don't know if I'm going to get it. 12% for what it's worth on Bane as far as ownership. Utah is a funnel inside. If you want to make an argument against Bane and his threes, that's an
Bigs
argument against
versus
it.
Utah.
Well, I mean, like Utah just they get bled inside, but outside they're pretty good at. They don't give up a ton of threes, right? At least they haven't been, unless something's changed they've missed. And that's Bane. If you're going to get there with Bane, it's probably because he hit 4 or 5 threes.
Yeah.
Anything else here?
Not too much. That's pretty much it. Like Morant, Kessler, and then if you want to take a shot on like a Jaren Jackson, I think that's fine.
Steven in chat says, I'm a Bulls season ticket holder, so I've seen enough to know Levine is terrible. I mean, he's been a little up and down. Well, remember the start of the season, the very first game of the year, he had like an injury management rest on game 1, which was so odd. It's like, well, why didn't we know this was happening when he was playing in the preseason 3 days ago? I don't know if he's been dealing with something the whole season. It feels like he has, or I'm not sure. And then, of course, the Bulls, I'm sure Steven knows this, but like, what a disaster organization for not trading anybody. Vukovic pending a free agent. Like, you're not going anywhere. Well, why would you not try to get something for him? But whatever. This isn't.
I had no idea what they were doing. It didn't make any sense.
I don't understand what the Bulls are doing. They're just sort of stuck in this spot where they're just content to be maybe the 8th best team in the East, and that's their ceiling. Like, they're not getting any better. This is the team. I guess if you want to make the argument, well, they didn't have ball all year, but whatever. But yeah, they are essentially stuck in a purgatory of sorts. Okay, let's move on. Dallas, Denver, 234 is the total. Denver is a 5-point favorite. The big deal here is the Kyrie Q tag for Dallas. I wonder if we have an if-then posted, if we have a new one coming up. I'm curious because I saw some people asking about some potential plays. Yeah, so Kyrie questionable. Christian Wood also questionable. His minutes are questionable these days. He's not been playing nearly as many minutes as he was previously. THJ is out as well. So, like, if you get no Kyrie and no THJ and somehow no Wood, like, if you hit that trifecta, like, Lucas is going to be running everything, and he's discounted if that's the deal, if that's the situation. As far as Denver, Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray, both questionable. Rjack's not yet available to play for what it's worth for Denver. They did sign Reggie Jackson, but not available tonight. A lot of speculation here, but what can you do with this game right now?
Yeah, so the speculation aspect, like, let's lean into it a bit. Like, it seems to me like with having the opportunity of all those guys being out, like, I really want to play Luka now. Even if just Kyrie's out, like, I just really want to play Luka. I think he makes a lot of sense. And then running it back with Jokic, you have the conviction that you think Murray's going to sit. Kind of with you on that. So I don't like this game stack makes a ton of sense. Running the 2 best players on the slate back and forth at each other. When everyone's going to jump to the Charlotte news with Ball, you can't play Ball with these 2. But maybe you just let them take that, and then you wait on this. Like, that would be my strategy in terms of like approaching this for tournaments.
Murray's been out with knee management since the 4th, so he's been out for 11 days. There's the All-Star break, right? So if you give him today off, he'll have almost 2.5, 3 weeks until his next game. Why in the world would you stick one game in the middle and just? It
doesn't make any sense for him to play tonight.
It just, to me, that doesn't make any sense. And I think this is like an overcompensation deal. Like, it's not the knee that he was that he had the reconstruction on. It's the other one where he was overcompensating. So look, I don't think he plays. Really don't think he plays tonight. It doesn't make sense. But we're not privy to the medicals. But from what we know, and just why would you stick him with a game tonight and then let him just let him rest a whole long period? And they have eyes on the playoffs and being a potential finals team. Like, this game's not that important. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I think Jokic, should be a really, really strong play. Of course, there are other really good centers as well that are really cheap. So what a fascinating slate. This is a great slate. I haven't made my lineup yet. I'm excited to make them.
It's definitely just the way it's kind of set up. The 7 o'clock chalk's fantastic. And then this situation's just could end up being the absolute nuts. So It's going to be an interesting slate tonight for sure.
I've seen a couple people talk about Andre Drummond tonight. I guess the Bulls are going to be kind of forced into playing him, right? To some degree, they're going to play some Drummond. He's 3-4. Have you considered Drummond?
With Caruso out, I think he has played in the past. Like it was, so I get why. What? Caruso's in? Yeah. So, no, I haven't considered Drummond. I was maybe they were thinking about why would we be considering Drummond in? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Break it down.
We're giving the 48 minutes as far as the center backs. Drummond 12. They don't play together, do they? Like basically, I think they only play together when Caruso's not available. I think that's happened. I'm curious. Elaborate on why you guys like him. Or there's several people have mentioned Drummond, and I know like obviously he's a good fantasy point minute player and he's a guy that can get there in 20 minutes. But yeah, and the thing is like we have value at centers. It's not like you're making the move because you're hoping that he gets 25 points, right? Like we have those guys already, sort of, basically. They're a little bit more. They can put up 35, 40.
Yeah.
It's kind of wait and see as far as Dallas. Like, who's going to step up if Kyrie doesn't go? I see some people talking about Josh Green. Like he's already getting 37 minutes. He'll get more used. I guess Josh Green will be useful to some degree, right? He'll play a ton of minutes. Brown will step in for Denver, especially if Gordon's out. Like he's versatile. He plays the 1 through 4. But I think he's priced basically where he should be, right? How much is Brown? 5-ish? 5.2. His projection will probably jump to around maybe 30 fantasy points or so he's fine. But is there anything else that we should stress here outside of maybe set yourself up for if this situation plays out, we can have Luka without everybody, potentially, maybe some Wood. Definitely no THJ. And then Jokic without possibly Murray, possibly Gordon, possibly both. Anything else that could be said here?
Yeah, I think Bruce Brown, like you said, would kind of pop a little if you get Gordon out. And MP Michael Porter Jr. 6'3". I wouldn't hate in that scenario either. But yeah, Luka and Jokic are the two main priorities for me, and two best plays on the slate.
Steven's talking about how they played some Drummond and Luke together when DeRozan was out.
Okay, no, cool. Yeah, that's so. If you think that could happen again tonight versus Indiana, by all means. But we do have a ton of value on the slate, right, at the center position. So just keep that in mind.
Right out the gate, the first game's got two awesome centers.
Yeah.
The San Antonio Charlotte game, and that's sort of like where you got to be this tall to ride this ride. You got to be this good projection wise to even be considered. And right out the gate, we're getting a really strong projection on both Collins and Williams. Last game on the slate, Lake Show versus New Orleans. We're expecting LeBron. I shouldn't say he's officially questionable, but it seems like from the beats he's going to be playing tonight. 235 is the total. Lakers are 5-point favorites versus the Pelicans as far as who's in and who's out. We saw a setback for Zion, unfortunately. Didn't expect him back tonight, but he's not going to be back for a while again. CJ McCollum is questionable with his ankle, which that's if you have the patience to hold. DSJ is going to be popping, right? Davis, by the way, expected to go for the Lakers. Lakers basically fully healthy, assuming LeBron goes. No Dyson Daniels. What are the chances? Let's say, what if CJ McCollum doesn't play? So then we would have basically the same price, right, for Alvarado. That's what I'm getting at. Could Alvarado outscore DSJ? Even
I think so.
I think it's an interesting decision if you want to, roll the dice or whatever you want to call it. I want to say we have an if-then for that. Let's pull that up. What will we project if no McCollum? Let's see. So, okay, if no McCollum, Alvarado would get a projection of around 26 DK points, which is, I think, 4 or 5 less raw points than DSJ. Yeah. So even if the news falls your way, you're still behind the 8 ball, if you want to say. But ownership is going to be, DSJ is going to be massively owned. You know what you're getting right at the gate.
I don't mind the Alvarado pivot. I do think DSJ is going to be a good play, but I don't mind the Alvarado pivot. Another guy who's questionable currently is Nance.
Did I miss that when that just happened? Or I just missed it?
I think so. I think maybe it happened earlier in the day. Like he was ruled questionable.
Okay.
You get Joval. I would just check that to make sure. Someone just texted me that. And I don't know if that's. You got to check to see if that's actually.
No, maybe it's. I could have possibly missed it.
I would trust the person who told me, but now I'm looking and I'm not seeing it.
He's got a groin, Larry Nance. So yeah, he is questionable. Danny Green expected to play, or he's available to play tonight for what it's worth. You're not rostering him.
So in that scenario, Valanciunas at 5'8", if Nance is ruled out, will absolutely demolish the Lakers. But there's so many centers, right?
But like Valanciunas can put up like 20 and 20. Like he can do that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I had not considered that. Huh. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. If you can hold, but it's tough to hold all night.
Yeah. No, I feel these guys, the center is just so stacked. So
do hit that like button out there, please. Kindly hit the like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, do all the things. Let us know we're doing a good job as we lean into Crunch Time. Crunch Time starring Kevin Roth. It's Will. It's Andy. It's plus 5,000 Roth. What's up, Roth?
What's happening? How you doing, Dean?
I'm really excited about this slate. It's an awesome one. Like it's. I mean, I know there's one tomorrow. It's like a 3-gamer or 4-gamer or something like that. You guys have a show for it, but this is a spectacular. I mean, once Andy and Will start talking, I assume Andy, are you as excited about this one? This feels like a spectacular slate with so many fun like forks. Great decision points.
Yeah, and like the last big one before the All-Star break, so it's like it means more. Like everyone's gonna. I'm guessing everyone is like more heavily invested than they would be on Wednesday.
Do you agree? Last game for the All-Star break, like they're not going to play Jamal Murray, right? He hasn't played for 2. Like, there's no way in the world he plays tonight. Not no way in the world, but it says
case by case basis on all that stuff. It's like, why do they bring Tatum back? Why are they bringing Smart back? It's like, who knows?
Yeah. Okay. You're spoiling my. Yeah. All right. Do you think Kyrie plays tonight, or just you don't know? Just you don't.
Not the way it's trending. Not the way it's trending.
That's okay. I just want to play Luka versus Jokic. I think that's what you're supposed to do. I know LaMelo's.
Yeah, the probable and the questionable, it's like the writing's on the wall. We'll get the doubtful in, I don't know, what, 30, 40, 45 minutes, and then the out in an hour and 15 minutes. Yeah, it's coming. Yeah,
I'm curious to hear what Will has to say about that. But we will step aside. Bobby, unless you got anything else for the boys?
No, good luck tonight, guys.
Oh, by the way, congratulate Bobby. So he won $32K last night.
Hey, I saw that. Congratulations, man.
Peter.
Yeah. I mean, it's not.
We don't congratulate people that are millionaires. It's just another day at the office.
That was 10 years ago. You
need to have this.
This is like Meansy said. Like this isn't just a
Bobby,
one-off. Like you've been hitting some big pots lately, right?
Yeah. I hit a live final seat like a couple nights ago too. I would have had the live final seat the other night if I got the same teams in, but would have had 2. Would have been nice. Could have been like squirrel, Yeah. Have multiples.
Where are we going, Bobby?
Then you're cooking with gas. Denver.
Oh, all right. Hey, all right.
Every now and then I get the itch to chase a scene. Every now and then I get the itch to chase, and then I decide I'm not.
Yeah, I got it early. I didn't really spend too much on it, so it was nice. Yeah.
All right, boys.
We're
gonna make way for crunch time. You got Will, you got Andy, you got Roth, myself, and Bobby. Thank you for your attention. Now it's time for crunch time. Roth, go for it.
Appreciate it. As always, good stuff, Dino. Good stuff, team from the GrindersLive crew. Welcome to it, though. This is the big show leading up to lock, where all the late breaking news happens and we make those adjustments on the fly. And we are, as always, joined by 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got one, Mr. Andy Means. What up, Meansy?
It's very troubling seeing your guys' faces through a freaking screen. Very, very troubling. I would prefer to be hanging out with you.
It was good times. Yeah. I don't know if I told the story. Yeah, I don't know if I told the story on air yet, but I woke up on like Monday and I was like, why is my groin so sore? And then I saw the video of me at the Boys to Men floor hump.
Has that hit the internet? Has that hit the internet streets yet?
It has not hit the internet, and I would very much like to keep it that way. I won't
be posting that. If it was just karaoke, I would probably post it. With some of the thrusting I saw going on, I will not post it.
I just couldn't believe I'm literally still sore from it. Not actual sex, mind you, but fake sex while karaokeing. That's a new one for me. That is me getting old. But means, like we've been talking about, hey, we've got a big slate. All-Star break starts Friday, and tomorrow's slate not all that filling. And we crushed it last night. A ton of people had some huge wins last night, so we're trying to run that back. You feel good about it?
I feel good about this. So we had a big night on Monday too, so let's keep going.
Very good. We got Chief as well in the house coming in with some GPP hot takes. What up, Chief?
Nothing much, man. Doing good. I'm gonna talk to my fiance. I don't think she'll mind. I think I'm going to Nashville for March Madness, man. I've been saying it. I think I'm going back. Like, it's going to take a couple days. I'll do all my shows at the office. Andy, don't worry. I'll get all my content done. My computer will be with me. But I think I might be headed back a couple of days, get clearance, and make sure it's not going to mess up kids going to school or anything like that. But, man, I had a great time. So I'm contemplating a trip.
Realize Roth and I won't be there, though. That's a kind of a big difference.
Right.
I know. I'm aware.
Okay.
You'll have someone.
He wants to be in the sports betting state. We all know.
Yeah, that's fine. No offense taken. Hey, if you are going to be somewhere where sports betting is legal, make sure you sign up for the Fanduel Sportsbook. If you're in a legal sports betting state, take advantage of their fantastic bonus offer. You get a no-sweat first bet up to $1K. Fanduel Single Entry Series also ongoing, sponsored by RotoGrinders. Reserve your spot in the Wednesday NBA Block Contest. $10 to enter. Your chance at $2K. And with that means, I think it's time we can overview the slate, or we can jump right into FanDuel Cash. Your call.
Let's think. I think I don't want to go through all the stuff we're still waiting on because there's a lot. I'd rather just like kind of peek at our what if projections and kind of give a peek for what we're like the stuff we're really waiting on as far as like there's a couple other situations that we don't have on here that are important. But like I heard the other guys talking about it before we got on with Alvarado because McCollum's questionable. Ingram would be a decent spend up. I'm not going to go through LeBron because he's probably going to play, but AD would be the play there. Markkanen's probably the biggest one of just like one player being questionable that we're waiting on because there's going to be some decent value, especially on DK if he's out. Kessler, Clarkson, Olynyk, THT, Sexton, all going to be pretty decent plays. Time Lord just got rolled out. Not a bunch going to move there. And then like the Denver situation, they have Murray and Gordon out. So like we'd be looking at Bruce Brown probably. That's probably one of our favorite plays from there. And then Kyrie's questionable. So Luka would be a pretty good spend up. So those are the main ones I'm looking at. Okay.
Does Kyrie ever play another basketball game for the Mavs? Or is this injury just the start of whatever elaborate breakup that is eventually going to happen, already happening?
The fact that I have to even consider that is quite telling. I would say no, but you never know with that dude. So know. I would. That's my official answer is no.
Yeah. All right.
I'm sorry. Okay, my official answer is yes. He plays another game. No, it's not the start of a K. Yes. Yeah.
Sorry. Right. But it's something worth considering. All right. Let's dive into a little FanDuel cash build if you do not mind, good sir.
Yeah. So a lot of Hornets, a lot of Bulls. That we'll be looking at. LaMelo, probably the best play on the slate, I would say. This game environment is quite slick. Over 240, two terrible teams, two terrible defenses, two fast teams, and Rozier's out. So I think he's just like probably the best spin on the slate. And then cheap stuff is his teammate, Dennis Smith Jr., who they said is already going to start with Rozier unlikely to play. So he's only 4.9. I think seriously, like those are – I would have a hard time playing anyone else at point guard in like a main lineup. The issue is they're both point guard eligible. So No one, you're not going to be able to put anyone else there. But a lot of the other guys I like, luckily, are both. So I'm trying to see if there's anyone who's just point guard eligible here that I would mention. Love Jaws as a pivot. Love SGA as a pivot. Jaws only point guard eligible. SGA is both. So let's just talk shooting guard now, because I think from my perspective, it's pretty clear what you're doing at point guard. And Rozier just got officially ruled out, so that's as expected. All right, so now Bulls. Levine's only 7,600, like a no-brainer in my opinion. And then I'll save Gordon Hayward for small forward probably. Then you have two other Bulls because DDR's out, Dragic is out. They're without a couple other wings too, which matters. So you have Caruso and Dosunmu. So I probably slightly, and then Kobe White too. I didn't mention him. It probably goes for me. It's close. I'd probably go Dosunmu, Caruso, White in that order, and they're like all right in the same range. Those are all kind of toss-ups for me. Yeah, that's kind of the main stuff here, because then it's Hayward, who also gets obviously a boost with no Rozier. Same matchup as I've been talking about, so let's just use that as an excuse to go to small forward. Levine's small forward eligible too. I didn't mention that. Let's see. Markkanen, if he plays, I think is fine. Patrick Williams, and then Strus at 5. Williams is 4.7. Strus is at 5. Ingram at 8.1. You can also just like play him and hope McCollum gets ruled out, because then that. Looking at the timing of these games, Utah's at 8 Eastern, and being the Pelicans are like the last game of the night, so maybe you don't have Markkanen news in time, or I'm sorry, maybe you don't have McCollum news in time. You just play Ingram for like maybe a sacrifice, maybe a point in projection, if anything. So, yeah, that's what I'd be looking at for those guys, or for that position. Let's move on, because that's pretty much what I'm looking at here. Power forward, another Hornet, PJ Washington. Zach Collins at 6'4", he's fine. Obviously, Pirtle's in Toronto now. I like Collins more on DK for reasons we'll get into later. Miles Turner said he's likely to play tonight, so he's at 8K against the Bulls. I think his fine as a spend up. Another cheap guy like Jabari Smith. Mentioned Tate at small forward. Randall's a pretty decent spend up too at 9.3. I think that'll do it there. And then center, Vooch as the spend up. Şengün right below him. And then Mark Williams is probably the cheap one at 5.7. I mentioned Collins at power forward. So, yeah, that's about it for me.
Very good. Okay. Let's talk some GPPs. So, Chief, you're up, bud. What do you like?
So let me say this. In terms of GPPs tonight, I don't do this every night, but I think tonight is, especially if you're looking at FanDuel, which is what we're talking about now, and it'll be something similar on DraftKings. It's game stack night for me. So I'm stacking the Hornets and Spurs. I'm stacking the Bulls and Pacers. I'm gonna have some Miami Brooklyn stacks with some of these other guys like Strus, Vincent, Jimmy, and Bam on the other side with some Cam Johnson and Dinwiddie and stuff like that. I don't mind stacking the Rockets and Thunder. I know I'm not giving you players specifically, but that's the approach I'd like to take. But the difference is, instead of me stacking the whole game, I'm going to try to stack 2 or 3 games at once. So 2 from Charlotte, 1 from the Spurs, 2 from Houston, 1 from OKC, stuff like that, because the pieces are cheap enough for us to be able to pull it off. So let's take the Charlotte game as an example. You've got LaMelo Ball at 9,900, but Gordon Hayward's 56, Mark Williams 57, PJ 69, but Dennis Smith Jr. is 49. Keldon Johnson is 74, Zach Collins is 64, but Jeremy Scott 55, Devontae 52, Branham 5K. Like, you've got enough to move some pieces around. And then a similar situation for me with the Bulls game where, Vooch is 86, but Levine is 76. Ayo 44, Caruso 45, Kobe White 42, and then my tournament play of the night, even on FanDuel, I love him on DraftKings, but even on FanDuel, I don't mind taking shots on Andre Drummond tonight in a game where, he could come out and absolutely smash in 20 minutes. 15 minutes is probably more realistic, but, we've seen this guy kind of go off in limited time. This is someone I've been on pretty much since yesterday, so I like him a ton. And then on the Indiana side, Halliburton, Heel, Benedict Mathurin, Mathurin. These are guys that I like to just mix and match and kind of get these mini game stacks going. Similar situation in Houston where if I'll probably pull SGA and then I'll run it back with some KJ Martin, some Tate, some Jalen Green. Same thing here kind of in Memphis too. I really like not Desmond Bain, John Morant, 10-6, run it back with some Sexton, possibly some Olynyk, some THT, especially if Laurie's out. It's just going to open things up. And so that's kind of where I am, but I'm going to focus on those games and build around them. So you can play LeBron, you can play Anthony Davis, you can play Luka, you can play these studs, but I want to focus on high total, bad defense game environments, and that's where I want to kind of build out most of my lineups.
Okay, very good. Tequila Mike pointing out Rubio is out. I don't know if that was something that we were ready for, assuming and anticipating, or if we just don't care.
I don't really care. Osman's out too, but they're kind of – it would matter more if their main guys are out, but their main guys are all set, so doesn't matter too much.
Okay, well then with that, I think we can talk a little bit of DK, so let's talk a build, Means.
Yeah, I got a pretty good feel for this build. We talked about how Smith and Dennis Smith Jr. and LaMelo only point guard eligible on FanDuel. Same situation on DK. So I think you lock those two dudes in, point guard and guard. So then let's look at shooting guard, and I'll come back to point guard before I wrap. Mm-hmm. I think you have two good spend up options here in Levine and Bain. And then if you want to go if you want to go cheap, then you can go Bulls with White's 4K, Caruso's 3.4, and then you can go Devontae Graham at 4K. I probably would just play Devontae Graham personally. So those are really good options. I didn't mention Jayshawn Tate, who's there as well. Probably a relatively decent play on a different slate, but since we have so much better stuff in this range, you probably don't need that. Similar situation with a lot of other guys. So let's go to small forward. Levine has it there if you need it. Hayward is probably who I'd be looking at here. He's only 5'8". And I guess and then I didn't even think about it when I was saying that Jayshawn Tate, that small forward eligibility. So he makes sense here too if you need it. I would probably play Hayward here personally. I didn't mention Strus at shooting guard. He's 5K. He's an option. Keldon Johnson at 6'6". That is pretty much the extent of the primary pool for me there. Power forward, you have Hayward here, and then you can play PJ Washington here also at 6'1". Those are the two primary options for me. Moving past that, up would probably be Jimmy Butler. Down would probably be Jabari Smith. Patrick Williams, I didn't mention him at small forward. He's 4'7". KBD is 4'3". But yeah, I think you're playing Hornets here. And then center, I think you're for sure playing Zach Collins. He's only 5'1". And then you're probably looking at – so two ways to go here. And I think you can definitely – it can be a double center night. I'm not saying it's for sure double center night. I really like Vooch tonight. I wrote up one of his props on SAO this morning. He's 9'2". You can go with him in the util, or you can go Mark Williams in the util at 5'3". Price is coming up a little bit. Still think he's a little too cheap for his expected production, but – that would be an option. If maybe I could see playing Şengün if you get in a weird spot where you don't have money for Vooch. He's only 7'8". Prices come down. I think he's an option. So didn't mention too many names there. I think it's for a huge slate. There's not too many decisions to be made, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, but still a lot of news to play out too. So we'll see.
Okay, very good. Well, that leaves us with some DK GPP thoughts. And if you don't mind, maybe walking us through position by position, because we have oodles of time here before our lock.
And oodles of chalk.
Oodles of chalk. So, yeah, hopefully you've got some way to get us off that.
Well, there's always a way to get off the chalk. Which, since we have time, I'm all about talking strategy and how sometimes you can build around the chalk. So let's go good chalk, bad chalk. Let's play that game. Good chalk, LaMelo Ball, 36%. No Terry Rozier. We got a robust, and I do mean robust projection of 60 fantasy points on him. That's pretty good chalk. Dennis Smith Jr., 3,700. Robust projection of 30 fantasy points, 42%. I'm going to consider that good chalk. Gordon Hayward, 5,800. Robust projection of 35 fantasy points. Not robust. Still good chalk. You're going to see a theme here. This whole Charlotte Hornets starting lineup is good chalk. No Terry Rozier is a big deal with him not playing. So Plumlee out of town, that's good chalk. If you look on the other side of the game, though, what you'll notice is Zach Collins, projection of 35, 5,100, 33%. That's good chalk. This whole game environment, I don't think we need to be running away from the Spurs Hornets game is the point that I'm trying to make, right? So that's the point I'm trying to make. So I've covered that. You understand good chalk, bad chalk. Let's talk point guards. I think LaMelo is one of the top point guards on the slate. Let's go to somebody that's not going to be high on tonight and another game that I love. That's Tyrese Halliburton. I talked about these up-tempo games. Tyrese Halliburton is 9,500. I don't think anybody would be surprised if he went for a 50 spot tonight against a depleted Bulls team that hasn't been playing great anyway. So don't skip over him or overlook him because of LaMelo. In some of those lineups, maybe just swap and maybe you can upgrade somewhere else. So he's a guy that I really like at the point guard position. Another guy that I really like at the point guard position tonight, who I thought was possibly going to be a little bit more chalky, but I think the Terry Rozier news has kind of turned the tables on us. That's Gabe Vincent at 4,800. He's playing good minutes. I don't think we're going to see his minutes take any type of a dip when they've only got probably, I would say, 8 to 9 real guys that are going to play tonight. I don't see Udonis Haslem or Jamal Cain playing, so I feel very confident he's going to play 30-plus minutes. Here's someone, Roth, that I think you're going to like. I think this guy's made you a lot of money. And so in tournaments, we're talking Jalen Brunson, 8,600 on DK. And this is something I talked about last night. My assumption, and that's why it's not good to assume, my assumption was when RJ came back that all of the scoring would kind of balance itself out and normalize, that, Julius Randle would get back to, 24 points a game, 23, 22. You get your 20 to 22 from RJ, and then you get your 20 to 22 from Brunson. Well, it's nothing like that at all. Brunson, last couple games, 40, 38, 30. Now, we did see 25, 1 and 41, but that did not slow down his fantasy production. So, and then even the game before that, 41. The game before that, 37. The game before that, 26. The game before that, 29. The fantasy production's been these 8,600. With this type of fantasy production, he should be at least, I would say, 9,200 by now. I mean, he's put up 50 fantasy points at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6 out of the last 10 games. He's 8,600. We need to be playing Jalen Brunson. This is another good matchup against the Atlanta Hawks. It's not like he's facing a full-blown defensive Celtics team that's fully healthy, or a Milwaukee team that's fully healthy, or a Denver team that's fully healthy, or a Cleveland team that's fully healthy. He's facing the Hawks, who, while they're fully healthy, they're going to be running up and down the court like their butt's on fire. So really like him. I think it's a really good spot for him at the point guard position. I don't think we need to be fading SGA tonight, who was probably one of the best tournament plays on the slate at the ownership projection. We've got him at like 5%. This is crazy in a matchup against Houston. We've talked about these game environments. SGA could go off for 60-plus easily here. I think we get in the mix on SGA. We get in the mix on Ja Morant. We get in the mix on Luka Doncic. Yes, I'm naming the obvious, but here's the kicker. These guys are under 7% ownership, pretty much on all of them. Nobody's playing them tonight because of the Charlotte game, because of the Bulls pieces. I get it, but this is ridiculous ownership. It's also 11 games, so I get that too. But you can get all of these studs at very little ownership, and guess what I can do with these studs, Roth? I play these studs. I just go back and play these cheap guys. I can still play Dennis Smith Jr. At 3,700. He's cheap. I can still play Kobe White at 4K. He's cheap. I can still play all the cheap guys and play the studs. Speaking of that, let's move on down to shooting guard where we've got a couple of guys. Here's a guy tonight that I think is sneaky at the shooting guard position, and I don't think he's getting a whole lot of ownership. Let me check. I want to just verify. He's getting a little bit more than I thought, but Jalen Green, he's got point shooting guard eligibility at 6,800 against the Thunder. This is a guy that can score 40 real points. Mm-hmm. Like he can score 40 real points in scenario. I like him a ton. He's one of my favorite plays on the slate as it stands right now. Also, Desmond Bane, a really good play on DK at 7,100, pretty much scoring about 40 fantasy points a game recently. So he's a good one. And then another guy, well, I'll move there in a second. He's only small forward on DraftKings. So let's just go there now. Small forward. This is a guy, he may get more ownership if Kyrie is in fact out. But if it's just Luka and the boys, give me Josh Green tonight at 4,800. He's someone I'll be thoroughly invested in. In fact, if you're following me on Prize Picks, I haven't put it out yet, but Josh Green is probably someone I'll be looking to take over fantasy points. My assumption is he comes in at, 23, 24 fantasy points, and we've seen him really blow through that number recently. Not the last game, but prior to that, he was upper 20s. He's a guy I would be taking a stab on in tournaments. And then, of course, you got THT. If Laurie says he's got shooting guard, small forward eligibility, you can play him as well. Getting on down to power forward, I do think, even though I've talked about it, I think P.J. Washington is a great play. I think Tobias Harris, and I mentioned him. Has been putting up gaudy numbers? No. But sometimes when the price keeps staying at this cheap level, he's 5,200. Do we have other guys in that range that we can play? Absolutely. We've got Tobias Harris projected for 0.66% raw. Like that's less than 1%. If he scores 35 fantasy points, I'm fine with that on this slate. And what if the other 5K guys score 28? Well, I've got enough leverage or enough of an edge over the field to take advantage of that. I'm going to go ahead and skip to center. And I think one of the best center plays on the slate tonight, this one to me is fairly easy because of the situation. I don't think Jamal Murray plays for what it's worth. I'm hoping Aaron Gordon sits as well. That's my hope. Give me Nikola Jokic straight up. We've got him at 12%. That's not a lot on this slate. I'm hoping these guys sit, and if we get them sitting, he could put up a monster number in a battle of the two MVP candidates. And I will go ahead and close out my enthusiasm for this slate right there.
No, I like the note you ended it on because I'm working on a Luka and Jokic build. The issue is we've got the guard value, but I'm not seeing the value at forward. Is there any guys out there? Like I need value. I don't need like 4 or 5K. I need like cheapies at forward. Is there anybody in that range that you're okay with, like 4K or less?
Not particularly. All the value, in my opinion, is going to be in the guard spots. Like, I mean, they're 3K, they're 4K. Like, okay, you can play Caleb Martin for 4,400. I mean, but that's still not. You want to get down in the cellar, and I don't think we have anyone that we can truly get down in the cellar in and actually feel good about them impacting our DFS lineups. You can play PJ Tucker and take 10 fantasy points, but I don't think you want to do that.
I got one for you, Roth.
Do tell.
And it's you can pivot off some chalk, little leverage playing the same game. You play Bryce McGowan's at 3K. He's probably the first guy off the bench for the Hornets. He's 3K. He could like be your DSJ pivot, or if you don't want to play like Gordon Hayward. I mean, I've done worse things.
Okay, I love it.
Nick Richards is going to get minutes too, but he's more Utah.
Yeah, I mean, I realize that there's not going to be a strong play there, but if I want to get Luka and Jokic, I need a crap play somewhere forward. So if that's it, then that's what I'll do. That's fine.
I have a question for you, Roth.
Yeah, please.
At Chiefs start of his DK talk there, he was talking about a guard named Jalen Brunson. Did you know that he was doing all of that stuff recently with his?
I was unaware. I may have put all the money that I have on all of my fantasy apps on him to do that stuff recently. So now I have a lot more money on all of my apps. God, he's so good. He's so damn good. His over's probably at like 25.5 again tonight. And they're probably wrong again because he's probably going to drop 35 or more like he does every freaking night because the guy's an absolute bucket. Play Brunson. Literally never let you down. Let's see. We got about 12 minutes left here, by the way, gentlemen, which is plenty of time for some QQs. Let's do it. By the way, I think Luka, if Kyrie is out, I feel like Luka goes statement night and drops 50 real life points in the absence of a Kyrie.
And he's not 12,500 anymore now. He's
exactly.
Like
it's the cheapest.
Yeah.
It's the cheapest I've literally ever seen Luka, under 12K. So we'll see. All right. Scrolling up, picking a few QQs. I'll start with Joe. He says, would you just cap 2 players max for each team and pray the news adjusts for late swapping? Means you want to handle that one?
Chief. No. Oh, okay. Let's see. On any team, I assume?
That's what he said.
Nah. Not with the Hornets.
Maybe not.
4 guys from the Hornets tonight.
Yeah. Okay. Yappy says DK GPP. If Kyrie sits, would that open up Josh Green? Yeah, Chief, you mentioned that it would.
Oh, yeah.
If Wood and Kyrie sit, that'd be even better. I assume that is a yes.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Sean, this is just kind of a generic question, but that's fine. We got the time for it. In tournaments, what is considered optimal regarding on how much a player should times his salary? Like 6, 7? I mean, optimal is 10x. But
well, I mean, back in the day it was 5, but you're gonna probably need, I would say, you need 6x from your main guys, and you probably need 10x from your cheap guys to like really push the GPP envelope. What you say means like if you got a guy at 3K, you probably want him to score 30. Like essentially, you want him to score 30. I think. If you got a guy at 8K, you probably want 6x. Like you probably want him to get as close to 50 as possible. Just generally speaking, if you want to take down a GPP.
Yeah, you for the 3K guy, you want that to be realistic. Like you need to look at this guy and be like, could he realistically get 30 DK points tonight? If he can only like realistically get you like 22, then he's probably not for you. So maybe I should take back my Bryce McGowan's.
That's fair. That's fine. A few other names getting tossed around. Someone says Ronnie. Consider. Am I Ronnie? Ronnie, consider Collins and Sochan as well. I think I'm Ronnie. Also, the part says, who is Dave within RotoGrinders? We have a few Daves.
Okay. Dave Potts? Dave Kitchen?
Dave Kitchen. Probably Dave Potts. Yeah. So unless it's a basketball play, in which case it is not Dave Potts if we're talking basketball. All right. Let's see. More QQs. FanDuel single entry, your very favorite spend up on the slate.
Jokic.
Nice. DK Cash means if Markkanen is out, does Kelly O become a cash option?
Yes.
Interesting. DK Cash at the util, play Mark Williams or wait potentially for Bruce Brown or Walker Kessler?
I would wait if it came down to that. Almost any other Hornet you ask me about, I would say play him. That one I would wait on because you could probably get something better later. Yep.
Okay. Good answer. DK GPP Chief, this is a 2v2. Graham and PJ Washington or Branham and Hayward?
Graham, PJ Washington.
Very nice. Speaking of Kyrie, oh, well, we'll skip that one or maybe save it until after lock. Meansy is a man of science, I will have you know. Goodman says,
what did I do?
I mean, that's true. I was going to say it's Kyrie. It's pretty obvious, but you're right. It could go a lot of ways. DK Cash, is Graham okay off the bench?
Yes.
Caton says, hey, I'm not getting the Eddie THT in my lineup. Should I set a minimum exposure for him in case Laurie sits, or am I okay fading him? This is a GPP question.
I think you prepare to play him and maybe just don't overexpose yourself up front. He's going to play minutes. It's just if Laurie sits, he's going to play big minutes. I think he still plays 25 minutes tonight for what it's worth, or around 25. I know the other night I think he played, 19, 20, something like that. But I think he's at least over 20 regardless. So get your exposure ahead of time.
Okay, very nice. DK Cash means PJ Washington or Hayward?
Only one of them, huh? I would probably play PJ if you have the money. Don't feel great about it.
All right. DK GPP Chief, how many Hornets is too many Hornets? By the way, gentlemen, we got about 7 minutes.
In DK, I would say 5 is too many. I think you can play 4.
Okay, very good. Another question about Josh Green. You're okay with that, especially if Kyrie and Wood are out?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. DK Cash, is Jay Rich in play means if CJ's out?
Let me double check our what if on that.
Jay, is he 3,900 still?
He has a decent. I don't know. Let me look at his price. He has a decent DK value score. Yeah, he's 3,900 on DK. Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, like maybe you were planning for something better in the news earlier, and you're like, I got to play him. Like he'll be okay if CJ's out. Like he's not gonna be like at the top of lineup HQ or anything, but he'll be fine.
Okay, that works. That's good enough. Fanduel Cash from NBA DFS. Markkanen, assuming he plays with Ingram or SGA and Jay Smith.
I would play the first one, but you also have to know what you're going to be doing if Markkanen's out. Like that could get tricky. Mm-hmm. So, all things equal, and everybody playing, I'd say the first one just be ready in case he's out.
Okay, good advice. Crossover King says, Chief, would you have any interest in McCollum as a pivot off the chalk in large field GPPs?
No.
No? Okay, fair enough. I'm calling this a GPP question. Paul says, THT or wait on McCollum news for Richardson? This is DK's single entry.
I would say wait on the news.
All right. GD says you get one play, one big spend up in the util and a DK GPP. You taking Joker or Luka?
Taking Joker at home.
Okay. Is 60% PJ Washington too much PJ Washington?
Probably.
Okay. Hey, by the way, all we ask for this free show is that you hit that thumbs up button. We got 5 minutes until lock. So do 2 things. 1, pop your question in. I'm jumping over to the YouTube chat. And 2, make sure you hit that thumbs up, that like button. Shout out to our sponsor, FanDuel, for making this show free. Billy Maglion says, what about Hardy if all the Dallas guys are out? Is that too thin?
What do you think, Chief? I was going to say I don't really like it, but because Lucas,
I think it's too thin because you've got he's not a better play than DSJ. Like I don't think you need to do it.
Okay. That's fair. DKGPP Chief, right back to you here. Mobley and McGowan or Sochan and Mark Williams?
Sochan, Mark Williams.
Very good. Rank your Spurs, sirs. Meansy, you want to rank the Spurs for me?
Off the top of my head, I would go Collins, Keldon, and then like especially if it's like DK, Collins drop
DK,
off.
Collins for sure.
Keldon probably drop off. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I forgot about Graham's price on DK. It would be Collins drop off, Devontae and Keldon drop off, and then I'm out on the rest of them.
Okay, very good. Saw the news that TJ McConnell is starting. Any love for him as a starter?
Yeah, I saw that. I still don't want to play TJ.
Okay. Is it cash viable?
No.
No. All right. Ryan Johnson says your favorite prop bet for tonight. Chief, I will let you go first.
It was Gordon Hayward over 15.5 points. And that was prior to the news. I didn't expect Rozier to be out. I've been on that since yesterday. And I think he's only bumped up
how many points?
15.5.
Oh, I thought you said 50. I was like,
I thought you said 50.5.
No, sorry, 15.
Okay.
So I think he's bumped up to 16.5. I mean, Rozier's out. He bumped up a point. Fire away.
Okay. Means you got a favorite bet?
Vooch PRA. I think he's 38.5. I'm
Means
sorry. I mean Brunson. Was I supposed to say Brunson?
If you weren't going to do it, I was. It's Jalen Brunson over. It's literally all he does. I don't remember the last time Jalen Brunson didn't hit the over. I don't know if it's ever happened. I don't know if ever in the history of Jalen Brunson he's had under his point total. So that's my favorite.
Pump your brakes. He's at 25.5. He'll be okay.
This weekend.
I'm not pumping my brakes at 25.5. I'm slamming the accelerator until it's 28.5.
I tell you to pump your brakes. He's missed it before.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm sure he has. THT or Dynamite. I don't know if that's like
They were trying to be funny like TNT.
That's what I thought. I was like, is this an explosives joke? I'm glad it at least registered to me here. How about Spida in a Spida in a FanDuel GPP?
Not today.
No. Billy says not bad on the pronunciation for his name. Was it Magliani? Let me know. If it was Magliani, I'll make a mental note and try to get it next time. Jumping back into the RG Discord, got a bunch of questions that just came in. Mike says FanDuel GPP Chief, I'm pulling a Roth build. I got Joker, Luka, Ball with Collins in a mini game stack. That sounds amazing. But then he says, am I leaving myself too thin on the scrubs? I guess.
God, I guess I need to know your average price per player because you should be able to get at least one guy in there under 4K and a couple 4K guys. You might be okay.
Okay. All right. I like it. DK Cash means Levine Ingram or Luka Kellyo if the injuries fall that way for Kellyo.
I'd still probably playing around the first one, and if it works out otherwise, maybe I plan to pivot. I would still play in the first one.
Gotcha. Joey Rock says, what are your thoughts on Pinson in a DK GPP?
I don't want to play Theo Pinson.
Okay, fair enough. Is Caruso okay as the last piece in DK Cash means, or do I need to look elsewhere?
It's fine.
PJ Washington versus Hayward. Did you say PJ if you got the cash?
Slightly, yep.
Yeah, very nice. DK Cash means 3v3. By the way, we've hit the lock. Bain, Levine, Kelly, or Caruso, Hayward, Tatum.
I like Hayward tonight, but I'd go the first one.
All right, very nice. And we got just a couple more questions that came in here post-lock. How many minutes can we project Bruce Brown for if all those Denver guys are out? Means you want to try to do some math on the fly? Take a guess?
I would, just off the top of my head, I'd say mid-30s.
Okay. That's a lot of minutes. B. Scott says, hey, nobody mentioned the Graham revenge narrative.
Yeah. Has he not watched me before?
Welcome to the show. If you want revenge narratives, this isn't the spot for it. I'll tell you that. Anthony says, this is interesting because back-to-back comments. Paul says most of the ownership is going to be in the first 2 games. And Anthony followed up with, it might sound crazy, but I faded everyone in the first games waiting for news and leverage. Maybe that's not crazy if the news.
That's not crazy, man. That's going to be so much chalk in that first game.
Yeah. And
you never know with tanking teams. Spurs
right.
Be like, oh, we're down 15 after the first quarter. Oh, we're down 25 heading into halftime.
Yeah.
3-quarter game.
Hey, I get it, man. I just think you got to know when to do that and when not. And so LaMelo's got a 60, Hornets at home. Both teams play bad defense. You can still get different and get exposure to this game. Like, fading to me is extreme in this situation. Like, a fade to me is O'Shea Brissett starting. Like, that's a fade.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? But like these Hornets, I don't think that's a great idea. I think you're sailing your ship out to sea with a hole in the bottom of the floor on that one.
Okay. All right. That is a fair analogy and good analysis either way. So we appreciate that. Let's see. Jumping in here. We got 2 more. Just one more question, actually, that we didn't get to. It is from Achilles Means, and it is DK Cash. Tate Joker or Graham Tatum?
Probably. I don't think I'll be able to help on now. Because I think he said Graham was in the game when we started. If I was doing that one though, I would have probably done the first one just to wait. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, with that, we have done everything that we came here to do. Make sure you hit us with a little thumbs up on your way out the door. We are going to bounce for Means for Chief, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.